Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello and welcome to the Strength of Field split for the week 6 of the Radical Racing Challenge, live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Johan Karinas. Mark Tranter is back operating the cameras for this evening's racing, and it is Laguna Seca, our host for tonight's event, a 25-minute race coming up for us around this Californian circuit. Johan, particularly tricky circuit to overtake. We were discussing this before the broadcast, and these radical cars aren't the most easy to overtake either. So it's really going to come down to that qualifying and also trying to keep errors to a minimum.
Yeah, that's as we spoke earlier, this track is going to be so hard on the drivers, especially with these cars being very, very nervous at the rear. And the aerial wash that you're going to get from the cars in front of you, it's going to make some of these turns very tricky on the drivers. So as you said, qualifying extremely important, so you want to get ahead of the pack as far as you can, but also put yourself in a position where you may be less likely to make errors, especially on that first lap. The track doesn't have that much space. It's got very tricky corners, so it's going to be just very important for the drivers to keep everything as consistent as possible. So look out for those small mistakes, some poor exits out of certain corners, and that getting drivers in heaps of trouble, especially at this Andretti hairpin that we've got on screen right now.
Yeah, so easy to look a break for that one, and should be particularly close heading into that corner with the flat out section just beforehand. An opportunity to pick up a slipstream. It is already getting dark. The session started, or the practice session started at sunset time of day. And it's going to be getting start quite rapidly, quickly, because this is, I believe, the 23rd of October in sim for this race, so you can kind of understand we're fairly close to the winter solstice, and so when it gets dark very quickly, basically, as many people are experiencing currently in the northern hemisphere. So it is going to be pretty much pitch black by the end of the race, but at the moment the drivers have a little bit of light, and they are currently setting their qualifying times, and pretty much everyone has put in their lap time already. Andreas Friedrich is one of the drivers who hasn't completed their second lap time, and also Greg Seitz hasn't set his second lap time, so he's currently in P4, but it's currently Josh Cam with a terrific lap time. He's 3/10 clear of the rest of the order, and if Seitz is going to take pole position here and go for another race victory to add to his vast collection this season, he's going to need to improve by 4/10 on this second lap.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do for the drivers, but if you just look at how close those times are, I mean, Seitz 16/100th, Freckleton 31/100th. It's just so close. Pyrrhocopter's even closer. Seitz popping the car out in front, so he's going to be especially happy with that lap. That puts him in a very good position for the race start.
Yeah, that's some lap. 14 thousandths of a second to take pole position over Josh Cam. They really have established themselves as the two best drivers in this series. Admittedly, Mitchell Green, I think, as well, has been right up there. But Seitz and Cam, two drivers going for the title. Seitz with the advantage at the moment and looking to extend that advantage tonight. Everyone has set their lap time, or their 2 lap times. They get a maximum of 2 laps, apart from Chris Kwiatkowski. Apologies, Chris, should have practiced your name beforehand. And he is currently on an outlap, I believe, is Chris, so he will not have time to complete this outlap and then do a full lap. New driver near the front for this one. Gredonum Old is up there at the moment. Gwen is doing very well. It's car number 16, so quite a low iRacing. And it's good to see a new driver in this top split and doing very well.
Yeah, it's a nice pleasant surprise here at Laguna Seca. Another one of the older names that we're seeing around here, Condelis in position number 4. It's nice seeing him back at the front. He's struggling a little bit the other tracks on the season, but it seems like Laguna Seca is being quite kind to him. So he is positioning himself quite well for the start of the race, and potentially at least the first half.
Yeah, I think so. There's an interesting mix of a lot of veterans in tonight's event, but then a lot of absolute newbies. Not too many drivers in the middle, I think. Maciek Malinowski is another new driver, and he will start in 19th position because he did not set a lap time. So, as the sun sets in the Californian desert, we have got the grid up for you. Greg Seitz on pole position by 100th of a second over Josh Cam. Then it's Gwendolyn Old, Arturas Condelis, Dylan Freckleton, Scott Callahan, Dennis Kiriakopoulos, Lucas Vieira, another new driver, Mike Busson, Chris Cash, Christian McCrelly, Gurgly Barros. You can see Barros back. I can't remember if it's this series that we've seen him in the past, but certainly seen on Apex Racing 2 in previous races. Eric Hanoi, who's been in a great turn of form, always qualifies low down to the car number 3, but he's been getting some electric race starts recently. Then it's Andreas Friedrich, Sean Wright, Stephen Place, Robert Woodward, Chris Kwiatkowski, and Maciej Malinowski, rounding out the 19 cars. Who's going to win this one, Johan? I would have thought it would be one of Seitz or Cam.
I'll probably take a wild guess and put my money on Cam, just because he's definitely got a bit of a drive to really give it a go. But definitely don't discount Greg Seitz, and I do want to see what Old and Condelis do, whether they can hold on to their positions during the start of the race and going into the rest of it.
3.9 thousand strength of field race, not the highest we've seen this season. Usually it bobbles just above 4,000, kind of 4.5k, but it's still a really good field out here, and it should be quite a unique race here at Laguna Seca. Going to be tricky to overtake, and so that run down to turn 1 going to be absolutely crucial for the top 2 drivers. So the lights are coming on, very much illuminating this night circuit here at Laguna Seca, and away we launch. It's a poor start for the 2 guys on the second row of the grid. It's a good start for Sykes to hold on against Cam. Holden Freckleton kind of got evenly poor start, so they managed to hold off the rest of the field as Freckleton dives up the inside, and he does make an excellent start up into 3rd place, up 2 places. Old and Condensed with those poor launches, dropping down the order. Good start for Vieira, good start for Hanoi as well, already moving up places as we expected. As we start to get into single file still, I think 13th and 14th slightly alongside as we move into the second sector of this opening lap of the race. That was Barros we were just seeing, dropping a couple places off the start. And Freckleton, who was up into 3rd position, he has gone spinning around. I think he may have reached the wall as well, and that is a huge shame for the British driver after an excellent launch.
It was looking so good there at the start, and unfortunately just dropping back there. We also saw a few moves there, people diving hard on the inside, especially here in the course through 2 wides through the corkscrew. That's very, very brave from Karen here, and I just know exactly, I think that's all next to him. Still side by side into the last few corners of the track. And this is going to spill all the way into turn number 11, possibly onto the straight if they get an equal exit.
Well, that's not a particularly strong first lap for Old. He was up in 3rd position after that initial spin. Condensed managing to get past him, as we were just seeing there. A couple other cars getting past as well, but Callahan still having to go defensive. Yo, with a cone attached to his cone, he wants that to go away nice and quickly, otherwise that will start to affect his straight line speed, and at least on my screen it looks very comical. Not sure if that's on the broadcast, but it is great to see, and apparently it is, so you guys can all laugh at that one as well. And it seems to be losing a little bit of time perhaps, or maybe he's just got back from his main rival. So we've almost got 3 wide heading into the next corner. This is Cash versus Friedrich, and Cash actually retaking that position. He's back up into 10th place.
Oh, some excellent driving there. Just a quick reference to the cone. I remember that happening to me once at Road Atlanta with F3 car. I was holding onto that cone for about 5 laps, so we'll maybe check in with him a bit later, see if he still has that cone attached to the front of his car. Meanwhile, out in front, Sykes not too comfortably in the lead. Cam is definitely piling on the pressure and just looking for opportunity, just sitting there within that 4/10ths gap. You can see it coming down with the draft effect down the straight, but it's so difficult to make a move if you don't have an overlap. It's a very, very long braking zone, double apex corner for the Andretti hairpin. Very tricky on the drivers, and this exit absolutely crucial as you try to carry the speed, building up for this 3rd corner, then specifically the 4th corner that we're going up to now, as it's got that straight heading down to corner number 5.
Yes, as Cash has dropped down, and Chris Cash was fighting for that 10th place, and that's not the best redrawn, but you see he doesn't make contact with Freckleton, so still everyone's running, but we have had a variety of incidents so far. So this is what happened to Freckleton then. So he got up to 3rd position, and then a bit of a poor exit there, heading to 5, he's still by himself, and then just on the cold tyres, which do take really 2 or 3 laps to warm up, especially with the track temperature a little bit cooler like it is today. Or tonight, it's sent him spinning round. I don't know if you can see a replay as well what happened to Eric Hanoi, because Hanoi was up into about 12th place. He is now dropped down to 17th, as I think we are about. Trying to do a great job on the cameras, and this I think was on lap 2, could have been on lap 1 potentially, and yeah, just gets a tap in fact from behind. Not sure who that was. It may have been Stephen Place, but I'm not, or maybe McCrelly. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Also, something that I want to point out: we don't see the drafting trains that we found so common in the earlier tracks during the series. I mean, you do still see groups of people, but not as piled up as we saw with tracks like Spa. Trying to think of a few. Before that, I think we rode Atlanta, where everyone was kind of running in 2 packs for the entirety of the field. Here it looks a bit more loosely divided. Woodward running onto the Rail straight, and one of the probably scariest corners on the track. kind of slinging the car into the uphill. And then the run to the corkscrew. This is very, very scary if you're behind someone and you're not exactly sure what they're doing with their braking, especially going up the hill. If you brake a bit too late, that cresting action of the car kind of leaves you weightless for a second and makes you lose a lot of braking force. So it's very easy to lock up the car out there.
Yeah, really a track full of challenges. It doesn't look too daunting initially, but factor in the elevation change, and yeah, particularly that corner when we're just before kind of the ascent up to the corkscrew, particularly tricky. So absolutely crucial for you to get a good lap time and a lot of pace. It can be unlocked. So yeah, and you're right about the trains not quite performing. There is going to be some turbulent air, but I think it's actually trickier to follow and stay close to a car around here rather than kind of the slipstream helping you along. The turbulent air is going to repel you more than the slipstream is going to attract you. And so expect obviously just to struggle to keep up. So if someone is able to keep up, then that is an indication that they are probably a little bit faster. And that seems to be what's going on with Busan and Kiriakopoulos looking slightly faster. Hanoi as well looking faster than Kwiatkowski at the moment. Just in front of them, going very slowly, is right. I think he's made a mistake in the previous corner, and that makes it an easy couple of places gained for these two, as Hanoi getting a much better exit now than the car number 17 transporting online, and he may well be passed very soon after 16th anyway in the past rounds.
Lots of interesting close little battles. Sorry, was it? Ooh! And that's contact between Cash and Freckleton. That looked pretty ugly from the bit that I saw. So with the Freckleton going into the corner, Cash trying to come alongside. Lots of movement in the braking zone, and that's not as that second impact is probably the uglier shunt of the two, but that's going to be frustrating for both drivers involved.
Yeah, weren't having a great time of it in the first place, and yeah, we've been hoping both for much better results tonight. Yeah, not going to happen. It really is pretty dark now. But still, these headlights on the back of SO8 doing a good job as Friedrich getting Woodhouse offline. Place places. Apologies, as Friedrich trying to get Barros offline. Woodward just behind, and then Place and Malinowski also catching up. It's 5 cars separated by only a couple of seconds at the moment, and that is deep on the brakes. And how did they not make contact there? You can see how Woodward had to really hesitate to turn into the corner, desperately trying not to make any contact. And they're both fortunate to be based in Europe and not have poor pings there. Otherwise, that would have definitely been a net code contact. It's a little bit of a divide now between those drivers, but Friedrich keeping the pressure on Barros.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to go off on a slight tangent here. I was just looking at the facts. We're getting very, very close there to Kowalski. So I was just quickly looking at the stats for the corkscrew. It's a 60-foot drop. So for our metric friends, that's 18.28 meters. Doing that in a car in the dust, sorry, in kind of low light conditions. That's something that I definitely wouldn't want to do in real life. So now up the hill we go with Ryan Hanoi and Kwiatkowski. As you see there, just a lovely rhythm that you get out of the corkscrew. It's kind of one of those iconic corners, and I know I'm getting out a lot about most of our people are probably drivers that have driven this track, but they will understand that that's probably one of the nicest things you can experience on a racing track if you get that corner nailed perfectly. Speaking of nailing corners perfectly, Ryan Wright doing a superb job of keeping to the rear of Kwiatkowski on the run down to the Andretti hairpin, and Kwiatkowski maybe looking a bit to run defensive on the inside, but doesn't really need to close the door too much. Wright unfortunately just mistiming it there behind Hanoi and kind of losing out for a few tenths.
Yeah, now just, 4.5 tenths of a second back. I'm not sure if Brett's got the pace to pass Hanoi. They've both got the pace to pass Kwiatkowski, but yeah, until Hanoi can get past, it's taking him a bit longer than he would have been planning on. Out in the lead, gap extending between Sights and Cam. Cam is just coming back a little bit. On that last lap, he gained by half a tenth. I think on this lap as well, he's gained by maybe a tenth or two, just seemingly around the final couple of corners actually. Sights being able to extend it out slightly again, compare lap times, and yeah, again, but pretty much matched, and there's barely anything in it. And Cam is trying to set his best laps of the race right now, just to maintain the gap to Sights, who looks really good to maintain this gap, let alone be caught and then overtaken. So quite looking for another race win, and it's some season that Greg Sights is putting together, really is establishing so at the top of the championship. Hasn't missed a round as well this season, finished on the podium every round, I think, because they'll win tonight. That would be his 4th race win in 6 events. Impressive record there. Still not too many overtakes being made. A quick shout out to SDK Gaming, by the way, for providing our overlays, particularly useful for races like this when it's dark. You can't necessarily see exactly what's going on. SDK Gaming providing all that information, time and tower in particular, absolutely fantastic. Super spatial, space efficient as well. And there's loads of other graphics as well, which we show up every now and again to display information on what's happening out on the track. Also, you can check out the live timing. There's a link in the description below. Open that into a web page and you can see what is going on the circuit with lap times and gaps and such. So do check out sdk-gaming.co.uk, as Hanoi has got past Kwiatkowski, and it seems like Wright has gone past as well, and Andreas Friedrich, who was in 11th position, very close to Barros, seemingly has made a mistake.
Yeah, and this is just one of those mistakes that kind of happen with the nature of the track and just how close these guys are racing. You can see they're just on the curb a bit too much. The car gets beached, and that is your braking zone being extended all the way to the wall. Still fighting though. He's in between that group of Hanoi, Wright and Kwiatkowski. And he's really got to get himself up to speed right now. It's very difficult when you've had an incident like that to kind of get the focus down again. But he is going to have to fight right from the get-go. Especially since Wright is just sitting on the rear of his car, waiting to pounce. Hanoi getting a bit of an advantage from this whole situation. Opening up a gap a little bit, 8 tenths now, so he's looking a bit more comfortable than a lap ago.
Yeah, all those guys really should be, or certainly I think Hanoi and Friedrich and Cash not too far behind either, really should be way up further up the road, could easily be in the top 10 right now, but each having kind of their problems, and you identified it fairly early on here now. You know, today would be largely defined by mistakes, and certainly has been the case. Freckleton so far the only retiree on this race, getting too much damage from that collision with Cash earlier on, and being able to continue these valuable SO8 cars are very fragile. Of course, no fast repairs either for these drivers. Kuntal is still ahead of Callahan, and has been able to cut down that gap gradually. Was a tenth faster on that last time round, but Kuntal is not an easy driver to overtake, and is really going to have to drive very well here to overtake, as Kyriakopoulos has made a mistake. Was running in a comfortable 8th position, but he's now jumped outside the top 10.
Yeah, and that's a rough part of the track to make a mistake. You lose so much time going through that turn number 5, turn number 6, and the Royal Straight. He's looking at turn number 5. He's hitting the apex okay, but he just gets the throttle down too much. He unsteers a bit to the outside, and then with a foot in the dirt, that's going to send his car spinning. So, unfortunate mistake, but that is right at the limit of what you're normally doing. So, the limits just being so fine right there, and unfortunately catching him out on that occasion.
Yeah, it seems he almost used to kind of open up the steering slightly on the exit, thinking they had more space than he did, and kind of clumsy, just ending up on the dirt. It's a really good deterrent at least around this circuit. The tarmac run-on barriers, it's all sand around the circuit. I'm not sure if it ever gets grassy here. I mean, I don't know if you know that, Johan, because I was very surprised when I saw Sonoma grassy. I think of Sonoma being very similar to this, where it's just in like a barren desert, and you know, it's sandy all the time. I don't know if this place ever gets a bit grassy at all.
It could potentially get like small tufts of grass. I would be extremely surprised if you get like almost a bit of a mini lawn going. It's definitely not something that you'll see this deep into the dry zones. Someone that's not having a dry spell, Candella's still holding on to that third position, as he's absolutely driving the wheels of his car to hold on to this position. It's probably, if I am correct, this is his highest position he's been so far in the season. So he's been doing a superb job of holding on to it. Callaghan not making his life easy though. 3 tenths behind him, that's basically an ever-present looming threat there behind him. Candella's just giving it his absolute all.
Yes, super close between the two of them. I have just done some research, maybe paying too much attention to this, and I cannot see any images of Laguna Seca being grassy. And people may not be believing me here when I say Sonoma can be grassy. Trust me, it gets grassy. It gets grassy, and I was like, what? Because you know it's sandy. How on earth is grass going to grow on that? But it does. It does. So no, I'm a bit surprised at this place. It's grassy too, like that lush terrain to race around. Probably a hell of a lot grippier though, this sand in comparison. Quite nice, the iRacing grass model. Quick shout out to Virtual Racing School as well, for sponsoring this broadcast. Virtual Racing School with over 50 data packs, so they cover all, as we see Callaghan very close there to come to this. But yeah, Virtual Racing School providing data packs for over 50 different cars on iRacing, and that doesn't just cover road cars like, you know, Formula 3 cars, like P2 car, like this Radical SR8, but also oval cars as well. Yeah, you can, in each of those data packs, you have got setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. So if you want to get a bit faster on iRacing, particularly if you follow kind of the official series schedules, Virtual Racing School is a fantastic tool to access those extra few tenths of a second, as we are about to head into the final 5 laps of the race.
And it's become absolutely pitch black dark. I do not envy the task that these drivers have ahead of them. They've got complete darkness around them. The track is cooling down a bit, which is maybe making their lives a little bit easier with the tyres, but we're going right into that part of the race where the tyres are starting to struggle a little bit. These cars can be quite heavy on the tyres. I remember back last season when they did Oran Park, even then they kind of ran out of tyre life by the end of the race. So this is kind of the area of the race where you really need to keep that consistency at an absolute maximum. And they've been battling throughout the race with their various rivals. So we might get a few interesting moments. Speaking of interesting, Frederick just sticking there right on the rear of Noy. Noy definitely not letting up, and he's going to do his absolute best to keep ahead of him. Frederick, of course, wanting back that position that he lost through his own mistake. So he's going to be battling for this position all the way to the end. Also,
nice, and then you've got this battle going on between Malinowski, who's kind of gone under the radar. I think possibly the lowest placed driver who hasn't made a mistake so far, Malinowski. Kirikopoulos, of course, was in a 7th position, I believe, earlier on, and then spun off. Hanoi having problems in region as well. But Malinowski's kept it very clean, not necessarily as fast as those other drivers. As we cut to Fujin, who was particularly close to Hanoi coming out of the corkscrew, wasn't able to really do anything with it. can see Hanoi with some damage on the back of his Radical SR8 machine. He'll be compromising his straight line speed, and Friedrich now able to get into the draft this straight, just or this kind of flat out section at least, just not long enough, as Malinowski and Kirikopoulos seemingly have taken each other out, and we should come across them fairly soon, as simultaneously Cash, it's a fantastic move there on right, and he's going to dart slaloming, making a couple of extra corners for himself, and Cash gains 3 places and a couple of corners.
That's a very good use of your opponent's car, kind of using Malinowski as the traffic to kind of separate him, and contact between Hanoi and Friedrich. Unfortunately, that's going to be the end of that battle. Although it does look like, yeah, Friedrich actually waiting up for it. That's some gentlemanly driving right there.
Oh, and there's going to be an issue there because, he was too slow over the curb. Wow, well, they all just congregated around that part of the circuit. Cash has gained 5 places on this lap, and only one of them it was actually an overtake. Admittedly, it was a very good overtake, so maybe he deserves the other 4. But absolute calamity going on around him, and yeah, we're going to have to piece together those replays. I think, particularly the first one with it was Malinowski and Kirikopoulos, I think was the initial one down at Andretti. And yeah, all sorts going on straight afterwards as well. So here's where it all kind of started off, and this I think was the battle for 12th position. And then Kirikopoulos just goes into his rival slightly, and then they keep on making contact, and this lost them a bunch of time. And they rejoin, Cash managing to get past, and then further ahead of them, it was Hanoi colliding with quite sure who Hanoi collided with actually, but yeah, caused even more problems, and here it was.
Yeah, Hanoi and Friedrich. So this was a battle for position. You see Friedrich there, just unfortunately understeering into the side of Hanoi there. Friedrich then waiting up for Hanoi, feeling like he's wronged him. But then you've got a bunch of fast cars all coming through in this particular section, and it's just an absolute nightmare for the drivers that are following there. And there you can see a collision, 4 cars involved there in the run through corner number 6. So quite a scary moment for all involved.
Yeah, I would say a big one, I think. Ooh, is the 19 going to get stopped? Yeah, just about. I think as Barros passed McCrelly, there was certainly some kind of move in that region when we were looking at the replay. Still, this battle is not ending. Kirikopoulos going for a slight look. The 19 over right, being able to keep behind. Yeah, Barros now up into 8th position, so particularly good job there for the car number 15 at the moment. So Kirikopoulos maybe getting a little bit frustrated. Remarkably, he's still, running a competitive car there, and Kwiatkowski has been able to benefit from all of that, as here comes Kirikopoulos once again, and going to be alongside into a very dangerous part of the circuit through turn 6, and the car number 7 manages to get it done. Nice move.
I can see what he was going for there. It's a very easy part of the circuit to kind of bully your way into a position through the use of fear. Yeah, out in front, Sights and Cam leading us. We've got the white flag, so last lap of the race, Sights looking very comfortable in his first position at the moment. I'm not going to say more because I do not want to curse it. And then Cam Candelas following in the general vicinity, and then Callaghan very close to Candelas there for the end of the race, so possible battle there between the two of them.
I mean, I don't want to get this tasty near the end of the race, so I mean, I'm going to go there and say Sights has driven phenomenally well, not a problem for him for the entire race, all the way up to the final corner. And, well, dare I say this has been easier than we expected. Took pole by 100th of a second. He's going to take the win by 3.5 seconds here. It's Greg Sights who wins once again in the Radical Racing Challenge. Cam, runner-up. Kundelis will finish in 3rd place, managing to hold off Callahan. Vieira, Old and Pousson will be behind. McCrelly should hold on against Woodward, so McCrelly lost that position position to Barros. He's not going to lose any more positions, I think, to anyone else. So McCrelly will finish in 9th position here, just beating across the line those other drivers. Can Kiriakopoulos get past Kwiatkowski right at the end of the race? There's still got a couple more corners to go, and here comes Kiriakopoulos, trying to absolutely line this one up, and he could go for a move here into the final corner. It's opened it up for him, and the car number 7 has been a topsy-turvy evening, but he has made a move right at the close, and he takes home 14th position. Kwiatkowski with damage at the end there, just unable to hold on for one more corner. Lots of really good battling in that one, I honestly think, Johan. I mean, yeah, lots of overtaking, not necessarily for the lead, but for the rest of the order, it was very good.
I mean, the overtake right there at the end was an absolute send. Definitely maybe one of those moves where it's the last corner of the race, you're just going to give it your absolute all. But very solid overtake there by, I think it was Kiriakopoulos, getting that position right at the end. So race results, Greg Seitz all the way at the top. Very well deserved victory for him. Josh Cam, 2nd position. Arturo Scandelis with a well fought for 3rd position. Callaghan definitely not making easy for him there, position 4. Lucas Vera, position 5. Debut for Gwendolyn, all doing very well with the 6th position. Mike Besson 7th. Then Barros, McCurdy, Woodward, Stephen Place, Chris Cash, Eric Anoy, Kiriakopoulos, Kwiatkowski, Wright, Friedrich, and Malnowski with Freckleton actually finishing on track. Unfortunately, coming out the garage with damage, but enduring all the way to the end, so showing some good sportsmanship there all the way right until the end of the race.
Yeah, really good stuff. Hopefully we should get some interviews with the drivers at the moment. No one wants to have a talk with us. It's a bit of a shame. But, well, I'll take this opportunity to give another shout out to Apex Racing Academy. Apex Racing Academy with 29 data packs. And those data packs include setups, track guides. It's integrated with VRS. There's also weekly group coaching sessions as well. And anyone who's been watching the IR01 series on Wednesday evenings on the iRacing channel will be very familiar with some of the Apex Racing team drivers, Peter Bayman, Antoine Higlin, and many others, all consistently performing up in the podium places in that series, and you can get coaching from them. They are the guys who make all the setups and all the track guides and such. So by going to Apex Racing Academy, you can get access to all of the equipment that they use. So do check out apexracingac.com for more details on that. And wonderfully, maybe I should just reference sponsors more, and then, you know, anything that I desire will summon in my life, because we've got 2 drivers waiting for an interview, and as normal, I will take the race winner because he's available. Mr. Greg Seitz joins us in the commentary box. You're making a habit of these results at the moment, Greg. It's another race win, and I think we can all kind of a bit like Imola, put it down to that qualifying session, because you put a lot of pressure on yourself, as you often do. You know, going second on your lap. You know, you left it a little bit later in the session once everyone else has set their second lap. You still had to complete it, and you just about took that pole position by 100th of a second, and from then on it seemed quite simple.
Yeah, I was really lucky to get that. I kind of screwed up turn 1 on the second lap there, and I thought no way I was going to get pole after that, but the rest of the lap was pretty clean, so just lucked out really, because boy, pole position or being in front of somebody here is almost the whole race, because it's so hard to pass.
Yeah, it's certainly looked that way, because Josh was quite close to you in the early stages, and then he seemed to kind of fall away a bit in those, closing stages. Do you kind of have a reason for that? Because, you two are so often evenly matched, and you were able to put a bit of a gap against him by the end.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been the dark. Certainly an interesting week. Starting off at daylight and finishing in pitch black. So it does kind of affect you. And I practiced for that, so I think that made the difference. So I was able to stay consistent in the later stages of the race, and yeah, in my first couple of races, it affected me definitely. With that darkness, it's just you really just have to run your lines. By memory, essentially. You can't. There's a lot of times where you just don't have any visual kind of cue into the turn.
I mean, I really struggle with that, and I mean, I'm sure you could drive much faster than I with no sights when I do have sights. But whenever I'm driving, I have to whack up like the gamma on my TV on my monitor to see stuff. Have you made any kind of monitor adjustments for the nighttime conditions, or are you running the exact same settings as you normally would?
I'm running the same as I said in day. I run VR. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but yeah, it's hard to see. It definitely is. And then I have very old eyes, so it makes it even tougher for me.
Well, clearly been eating those carrots over the years to help you see in those scenarios. Next week we have got Bathurst next. What's your thoughts on that? I know it's a very polarizing circuit.
I think I love the circuit, but I think the Aussies are gonna just wipe the floor with everybody. they're always super good there. So yeah, I'm not expecting to do great there, but it is a fun circuit for sure. And obviously it's a huge draft track, down the back straight. So yeah, I think it's gonna make for really tight racing. But yeah, there's a lot of guys that are really kind of specialists at that track, so it's gonna be really tough.
Yeah, for sure. It's yeah, it should be a really good race. Hopefully we get some slipstreaming, and yeah, I mean, if there is an advantage to your home circuit, I don't think you can complain too much with all these American circuits so far. It's good to go down under for the first time this season. Greg, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, as usual, thanks to you guys for putting on a great broadcast. Josh for keeping me honest and just pushing me the whole way. So, and my team, Rust Racing as well, which again we practice together and it always helps. So, yeah, great time.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming and joining us, and we'll see you back next week.
Alrighty.
Greg Seitz there, your race winner tonight. Johan, who would you like to have a chat with?
I think I'm going to grab Cam, and then I'll leave Arturus for you, because I think you've actually known him from the previous season, so that's probably going to be a bit more of an interesting chat. So welcome, Mr. Cam, and congrats on the second place for the race. Definitely one of the more difficult tracks to earn that position in. How do you feel about how that race went?
Yeah, it's stressed out. It's so hard driving in the dark around this track, because the Apex it's like a horror ride. They just jump out at you and they want to kill you at every opportunity. So it was hard. Greg did the best job in qualifying, which I think was the main difference today. It was close, but couldn't quite pip him. So I tried hard on the first couple of laps, tried to attack. I think I did a good job on lap 1. I was really close, but not enough to cause him a problem. And then the dirty air is kind of bad when you're up close. So Greg pulled to a second, but then he was faster than me after that. I think he had a 10th in hand, really. And he just pulled that pretty much a 10th a lap. So yeah, I tried to stay with him, keep as much pressure on as I could. But I was also thinking, if you make one mistake, you're probably out of the race or dropping down a long way. So started to play it a little bit safer as well once it became apparent Greg had the speed.
Yeah, definitely one of those tracks where it's very difficult to push the absolute limits, and with iRacing kind of flaunting some of its nighttime driving capabilities, it's become even more difficult, especially with these cars. And as you said, with Laguna Seca, with the Apexes kind of being hidden in the daytime as well, it's become so much more difficult in the nighttime. So did you do any preparation with nighttime racing for this, or were you just practicing everything in the daylight and kind of getting that rhythm going for the race itself?
I used the official practice sessions and the races, so I did a mixture, more in the dark than in the light, because it's easier to adapt back to the daylight. So yeah, I did a lot of practice. I think the problem is you just don't want to risk too much in this race, you know, where the big points are available, and obviously the broadcast championship. So yeah, I did what I can. I'm struggling really to get enough time to practice at the minute, so I'm kind of having to make do. I can see some of the other guys are putting in, you know, triple, quadruple the number of races a week that I am, and there's nothing I can do to counter that, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm happy with the result based on this week's work. Managed not to get killed by any sausage curbs, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, we saw a few people in, I think, turn number 3 kind of riding the curb all the way into the wall.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you do watch the broadcast back, you'll see at least one instance of that. So unfortunately, unlucky moment for the driver involved with that. And then, speaking of curbs and things that want to kill you, we're going down under for the next week. It's Bathurst. How do you feel?
I like Bathurst. It is hard. You're definitely right there. It was good last season. We got a double podium for Pure Motorsport with me and Ant Castles. So I'm excited for it. It's going to be hard for me because I have a week of very early work starts, kind of 4 a.m. UK time. So it's going to be hard. I'm going to have to sleep like midday on Friday, I think, in order to stay up for the race. So we can do, let's do Bathurst sleep deprived just to make it that bit easier, you know.
And then to add insult to injury, you've got the race at sunrise as well. I'm not exactly sure how the conditions will be at the exact start of the race, but could be interesting, especially with the angles of some of those hills.
Yeah, the sunlight in your eye. I remember from the Bathurst 12-hour this year, the sunlight in your eyes as you come over the top of the mountain and begin that tricky descent. It's blinding, which is a great thing, you know, when you're going past walls at 3 inches at 100 miles an hour. Should be fun.
Rather you than me. So best of luck for it. And then from your side, any shout outs, people supporting you, people supporting the team that you want to thank?
Yeah, a big thanks to Chris Cash. It's been great practicing with him for the last 6 weeks or so. It's just been, most of the time, it's just been the two of us. So we're trying to learn as much from each other as we can. So thanks to him, everyone else involved with the team when they can, and Concrete Ocean for sponsoring. Yeah, thanks for your time on commentating, as always.
It's always a pleasure. The racing is always fun to come and watch. Yeah. But yeah, massive congrats, and I definitely hope you have a lovely evening. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. See you guys.
Cheers, Josh.
Yeah, second place man there, Josh Cam, and well, we got the trio. We got third place as well. Arturas Candelas joins us now in the commentary box. Congratulations, Arturas, and good to see you back on the podium. First up, that race starts. It wasn't your best race start launch ever, but you ended up that first lap in third position. Take us through it from your perspective.
Hello, Sam. Yeah, it's good to be back. The start is always heartbreaking because the guys use the clutch, and it's a bit of a story why I don't. My dual clutch pedals are my brake and accelerator because I'm disabled, and therefore I just have no way to have another axis to bind the clutch on, and I have to do the brake start. And yeah, it's a bit of an uphill start in Laguna Seca, and it's always one position sacrificed at the start. Just was ironically happy to see Scott going off so quickly because I knew he was fast, and it was important to be ahead of him. So yeah, happy where I am in the end though.
Absolutely. It looked fairly comfortable for you for a while, and then Scott was getting very close at the end. I think, you know, you never really got particularly close into a braking area, but there were moments where maybe mid-corner he was within a few inches of you. Did you ever feel particularly under pressure, or did you think that, you know, the difficulty of overtaking around this circuit would be enough for you to stay ahead?
Yeah, well, the pressure was always on. As soon as I saw him, you know, directly being behind me, even though it was a couple of seconds, I knew he would catch up. and it was the laps were ticking so slowly, and it was about not stopping believing in the difficulty of the overtaking here, not stopping believing in myself, not locking up into the turn one, keep stamping those lap times in, and I knew it was possible, but only really started believing it on the last lap. And I think he just gave in the end himself, because he kind of the gap got bigger, and it was relaxing and in comparison to the rest of the race. But I'm just absolutely soaked in sweat. It was a really high pressure race.
Yeah, I can imagine. This was another race. Well, tonight we started off at sunset conditions. By the end, it was pitch black for you. I think that's the second night race of the season. I think we've got a couple more as well to go for the rest of the season. You a fan of these? You a fan of these night races because you've been around for a while, and apart from maybe Sebring a couple of seasons ago, we don't really have many of these. But how have you found them this season?
Yeah, this should become a thing, I think, especially with the transition from the day into the night. That's pretty awesome because you get to experience both. The Sebring one was, I think, it was all pitch dark, and especially myself being, I hardly ever drive there. It was really difficult to learn the track because I couldn't actually see the trackside objects. But this whole evening into the night thing is really working in my view. I think we should do more of those. I'm not sure how it looks from the outside on the broadcast, whether you can actually see the cars properly, but from the driver's point of view, I think it's a nice challenge. I think we should keep doing it.
Yeah, I think they are going to become a commonplace 2 or 3 every season. I think in the future, and it will be good to see a few a nice mix between the day and the night for future seasons. Arturis, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
The usual, it's you guys. Thank you for making the broadcast happen. It is really high quality and fun to watch, so really happy to be a part of it. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you back at Bathurst next week.
Everybody see you.
Arturis Kondelis there, your 3rd place finisher, getting back on the podium. Still, Arturis yet to pick up that race win, I believe, but plenty of podiums over the course of the past 11 months that we've been broadcasting this championship. Johan, really good drive from all those top 3. Next up, Bathurst. And when we visited there in the past in this car, it's usually quite a good event. I think last time it was a very chaotic event. I think it was maybe Ant Castles leading the way till the end, so there weren't too many overtakes at least, but that was due to a couple of teammates being near the front. But quite a difference to this circuit. You have got that elevation change once again, but a much longer circuit, and of course much closer walls as well that the drivers are going to have to be fretting about.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. The only car I've attempted Bathurst in was the Skippy, so maybe not the best representation or bang for your buck, but I have seen the Aussie V8s run there, and that's always been amazing. But with these larger cars, it's so scary going through that mountain section, going downhill, because while you do have the size of the car kind of protecting you, it's still extremely close, and to really get the most of your speed through there, you're going to be running on a very fine line, which doing that lap after lap, keeping your concentration up, is going to be extremely difficult. Also, the section at the top of the mountain is deceptively difficult, even though it's flat. I think going up the mountain is a bit easier because you've got the mountain working against you and kind of pushing you around. But then once you get into those flat sections, that difference in the grip that you've got available definitely can catch you out a little bit.
Yeah, that will be broadcast once again on Apex Racing TV next week. Next Friday evening. In fact, the clocks are changing soon, but that will be the last one for a while, which will have a Well, it's the same GMT start, but yeah. But I don't know why I'm even mentioning it, because I should mention it next week. But, you know, if you're particularly fond of these broadcasts at 10 o'clock in the evening UK time, well, you know, make the most of next week. It's going to be the last for a while, and then there'll be a slightly better time, I think, for the vast majority of our Brits, where it's 1 hour earlier. But anyway, that will be next week. On Apex Racing TV. Of course, do make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel. Got loads more racing coming up. Tomorrow we've got the Apex Racing Academy Formula Renault 2.0 Championship, which has been amazing fun to broadcast so far. Mid-Ohio Chicane is the layout for tomorrow's race. We've also got the 3.5 Championship as well. That's the official series. Got Spec Racer Ford. Got the IGP Fun on Sunday. We've got Apex Racing League Master Cup. We've got Rick Maytech on Monday evenings. We've got the second round of the GT3 Amateur Championship. Loads of stuff on Apex Racing TV. Subscribe to the channel, and you can see all the events that are coming up in the near future. Do also check out our social media as well on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Also a big thanks to Virtual Racing School, SDK Gaming and to Apex Racing Academy for sponsoring the broadcast. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Johan Karanis and from Mark Chanter, we are going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next time out at Bathurst. See you then.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross world champion Mitchell de Jong
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
and many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.